I used to think I was paranoid, that maybe I imagined the distance, the favoritism, the subtle way my parents' love felt conditional, like it had terms I'd never been told about. I convinced myself that families weren't perfect, that comparisons were normal, that being the easy child meant things would balance out in the long run. I told myself that even if my sister was louder, more emotional, more demanding, my parents still loved me just as much. I told myself that for years. I'm the younger sibling, the quiet one, the one who learned early that causing problems only made things worse. My sister Emily is 4 years older than me. Growing up, she was magnetic, dramatic, the kind of person whose feelings filled every room she entered. When Emily was upset, the house revolved around her mood. When Emily wanted something, conversations happened behind closed doors. When Emily failed, excuses were made. When I succeeded, it was expected. When I struggled, it was ignored. Still, I believed there was one thing that was mine. One thing that proved I mattered too, my college fund. It was something my parents talked about with pride. "No, we've been saving since you were little," my mom used to say. "Your future is secure." That fund represented safety, independence, a way out of a dynamic I never had the words for. I didn't know that while I was planning my life around that promise, my parents were quietly dismantling it. And I didn't know that all it would take to expose the truth was one screenshot. The group chat notification came in while I was on my lunch break at work. The chat was called A Family Two Hearts, and it mostly stayed quiet. Holiday plans, birthday reminders, occasionally a passive-aggressive comment disguised as a joke. That day, it exploded with messages. At first, I didn't think much of it. Emily had gotten married the weekend before, and I hadn't gone. I told them I couldn't get time off. That wasn't the whole truth, but it was enough. I opened the chat casually. The first thing I saw was a photo, a screenshot. It was a picture of a bank transfer confirmation. My name was visible. My account number was visible. The amount transferred, $32,000. My heart stopped. Above the screenshot, my aunt had written, "I still can't believe you managed to cover the venue and the catering from the savings," smiling face with heart eyes, totally worth it. I stared at the screen, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. Then my cousin replied, "Right? That wedding looked insanely expensive." My phone felt heavy in my hands. I scrolled. My mom had reacted with a heart emoji. My dad replied, "Anything for our daughter. Family comes first." My vision blurred. I typed one word before I could stop myself. "A what?" The chat went silent. No reactions, no typing bubbles. Just that awful, stretching pause where your brain races ahead of your heart. Then my sister replied, "Why are you being dramatic? It was handled. Handled. I scroll back to the screenshot. It wasn't just any transfer. It was my college fund account. The account that had my name on it. The account I had checked 3 weeks earlier. The account my parents told me was untouched. My hands started shaking. I left my lunch untouched and went outside, sitting on the curb like my legs had forgotten how to work. I called my mom, straight to voicemail. I called my dad, voicemail. I called my dad, voicemail. I typed again, "That's my money." My dad finally replied, "We'll talk later. Not here, not here." As if the problem wasn't already here. As if I hadn't just watched my future disappear in a group chat with heart emojis. I took a screenshot of the screenshot of the screenshot. Because something inside me whispered, "This is the proof you'll need." I drove home that night. The house looked the same. Warm lights, familiar smell, family photos lining the walls, Emily's milestones framed neatly, mine scattered like afterthoughts. They were sitting at the dining table when I walked in. No one stood up. No one apologized. I didn't sit down. "Explain it," I said. My mom sighed like she'd been waiting for this inconvenience all day. "We knew you'd react like this." "React like what?" I asked. "Like someone who was robbed?" My dad's jaw tightened. "That money was never just yours." My chest felt tight. "It was a college fund," I said. For me, for the family," my mom corrected. "And right now, your sister needed it more." I felt something tear inside my chest. "You didn't even ask me." My dad looked away. Because you would have said no." "And that didn't tell you anything?" I asked, my voice cracking. "That maybe it was wrong." My mom folded her arms. "You've always been selfish when it comes to money." I laughed, sharp and bitter. "I worked 2 jobs. I took loans so that fund could stay intact. I planned my life around it." And now you're punishing us for helping your sister, she snapped. Helping? Emily walked in then, glowing, confident, still riding the high of her wedding. She looked at me like I was embarrassing myself. It's done, she said. You need to let it go. I turned to my parents. Say something. Tell her this wasn't okay. They didn't. That night turned into hours of emotional warfare. They told me I was ungrateful, that I didn't understand sacrifice, that Emily was fragile, that I was strong. They used that word over and over. Strong, strong enough to survive without help, strong enough to rebuild, say enough to rebuild, strong enough to lose everything quietly. When I cried, my mom accused me of manipulation. When I got angry, my dad accused me of disrespect. When I asked about replacing the money, they said, "You'll figure it out." Emily said, "You always think you're the victim." And the worst part, then the worst part, they genuinely believed they were right. I left before sunrise. I didn't pack much, just essentials. I felt numb, like something vital had shut down to protect me from breaking apart. Over the next few weeks, I replayed everything. Every time I was told to be understanding. Every time I was asked to sacrifice. Every time my needs were postponed for someone else's comfort, that screenshot lived in my phone like a scar. Proof that I wasn't imagining it. Proof that love in my family had conditions. Proof that being the unfavorite child wasn't in my head. I stopped answering their calls. And for the first time in my life, I chose myself. 3 months later, they came to my apartment. My mom cried immediately. My dad tried to sound authoritative. We didn't raise you to turn your back on family. I held up my phone. I showed them the screenshot. You didn't raise me, I said quietly. You used me. My mom gasped. That's not fair. I said. What's not fair is stealing from your child and calling it sacrifice. Emily didn't come. That told me everything. I'm still rebuilding, still paying off loans that shouldn't exist, still grieving parents who are alive but unreachable, still learning that love shouldn't hurt this much. That screenshot didn't just prove they took my money. It proved that everything I was afraid of growing up was true. Was true. And sometimes the hardest lesson isn't losing your future. It's realizing your family was never going to protect it in the first place.